Right. So we've done outgoings, incomings time. What do we need? What are the profiles of players? Where do we need to strengthen? The last video, which was just recorded just before this, we'll have been talking about the squad we have, who's good enough, who can make it, the gaps we need to fill. This one is describing those gaps. What do we need in those gaps? And these are the key considerations I've come up with when I created this kind of list. Can they fit the league? Obviously, a big aspect of recruiting for any league, but particularly the Premier League, knowing it's the toughest league in the world. Can they fit it? Do they suit this league? Physicality is a huge one in all of our recruitment aspect for me. I think most of the players we bring in have to have a physical aspect to them, whether that's considerable pace, whether that's considerable strength. There has to be a particular physical attribute that stands out, I think, going into the Premier League, which, as we know, especially for teams where we will be slightly lower down, rely on that physical side of it, because trying to bridge that gap between you and even 16th, 15th, those guys have ridiculous physical players and ridiculous technical talent. So for me, you have to find the physical form within your team. So that's a huge thing for me. Experience doesn't have to be prevalent in all players, but I do think we need a mix of experience, as we are going to lose experience, as I'll explain. So we need players with experience, whether that's league experience in the Premier League or whether that's experience with age. System fit, obviously, they have to fit not only the league, but marrying with the system as well. And I've explained that in a previous video, how a lot of recruitment, well, from my perspective, every club's slightly different. But the two main focuses are, do they fit the league? Do they fit the manager's system? It's the key attribute. And obviously, around that, are they an excellent footballer? And then the mental side of it, the psychological side of it, the social side of it. Bring in what we don't have. What don't we have in that team? What's that team missing? That's what we're looking for me. I think there is gaps in there in terms of attributes we don't have that we need to fill in. But this is what this video will speak about. I don't know if I've done it on this video, but I have set up a membership. I probably should have done it a while ago, but coming into this window, there is going to be a lot of stuff I want to make, whether that's just one video on a player, whether that's just a video or several videos on leagues, what type of players I want from each league around Europe, stuff like that. A lot of niche, in-depth scouting videos are coming. A lot of them don't do great on YouTube. The core ones do well, and they will continue to be on here. Nothing is changing, but I just want to do some little extra ones that will be on the membership. So if that's not up yet, it will be soon. So if anyone wants to do that, feel free. If you just like the content I bring out on this channel, of course, just continue to watch. Yeah, thank you very much. We start with centre-back. Now, again, I've colour-coded it because my brain works that way. The darker green, obviously, the better. The red is the lower down. So as it goes through, red to orange to yellow to light green to dark green. You know how it works with my colours now. And so this is the centre-backs. So first of all, De Bayo. Probably not going to play next year. Probably, ideally, you'd like to send him on loan, but again, that's assuming we bring someone in. One thing I don't mind about this, especially these four, is the age range. I think we've got a decent load of experience. Rodon has played in the Premier League. Struijk has played in the Premier League. Ampadu, although he's younger, has played in the Prem. Voba, for not long, but has played in the Prem. So at centre-back, I don't really think we desperately need Premier League experience in this role. You look at a lot of good centre-backs in the league, and a lot of them didn't previously have centre-back experience. They're also very wide in terms of profile. There's not really a specific profile in the Prem for a centre-back. They're all quite ranged. But again, looking at what we need and what we'll be up against, we have the recovery in Rodon and even Ampadu if he has to go in there. For me, we have the ball playing as well in Rodon. I think his decision-making is pretty good. Even Struijk can play the ball out, although it's relatively simple. Voba as well. And again, we don't know if these will stay, but we're just looking at the options we've got. For me, what's missing is that top quality dominant centre-back. Now, again, this doesn't need to be an ex-Premier League player for me. This can be a similar age to these guys, but someone who's played in a top league in Europe with success. Because for what it's worth, was Rodon a massive success last time in the Prem? Not hugely. Was Strauch hit and miss? Was Svoba, again, started off great, died off. Ampadu wasn't, although he's very young. For me, we need that dominant left-sided, ideally, even right-sided, looking at these players here, a dominant centre-back who not only can dominate in the air, but defensive fundamentals are good, a player who has the mentality where they are all right with dealing with a lot of pressure, because that will happen in games. Are they good in the box? Are they good in both boxes? Set pieces? Have they played consistently for years now at a top level, a top league? That's what we need, in my opinion. They don't necessarily have to be extremely quick. I think we have that in Rodon, and even Ampadu if he goes there, and Strauch's all right for me. They have to be dominant and relatively stable on the ball and good in the air, good in set pieces, and a bit of a leader. When Ampadu's not in that back, we have a lot of guys who are probably quite lively characters, but we need someone who's played at a top level. For me, doesn't have to be a huge name, doesn't have to be a household name, big name. Whoa, just a player who's consistently played at a high level, ideally in a team that been amongst a lot of pressure. So that's the profile I need at the back, and potentially even a younger player as well, or a younger player as a fourth choice to develop, or a vastly experienced player who can be there in emergencies, assuming we lose Voba. That's what I need. So one, even in an ideal world, we get a top one, and either an experienced or a younger player who's just going to be about, ideally, the experienced. Fullbacks, this is a bit worrying. For the Championship, these four options are an absolute joke. Then we're looking to the Premier League. So for a start, Sam Byram is out of contract, and that hasn't been signed yet. The retain list isn't out for Leeds yet. So assuming he stays or goes, let's look at the three. Because if he does stay, he would be fourth choice rotation. And by the way, people, you need these players. They might not play a single game this season, but we need football isn't 11 players. It's not even 15. It's 25, 26, 27. Players don't always make the bench, but they're always available. They're always there. They're there in training. They're setting the standard. In every team in the world, these players are needed, whether that's Byram or someone else. We can't just rely on an 11. We can't just rely on a 15. We need characters. We need experience. We also need people that know the club and the manager to set them standards. So I'll leave it at that. And again, decent ages. You got, again, not bad Premier League experience, not great Premier League experience. Bogle has played in the Premier League. Firpo's played in the Premier League. Firpo wasn't great in the Premier League. He is a better player now than he was then, in my opinion. But instantly looking at that, Sam Byram out of contract, Firpo out of contract, both still currently not signed. So theoretically, we could have two fullbacks at the club. So instantly, whatever it is, do we need a fullback? Yes. Even if we keep Byram and Firpo, do we need a fullback? We do. Because like centre-back, I like our options. Schmidt's an interesting one. Can he now have that step-up period in the Premier League? Time to really prove himself. Firpo and Bogle, we know what they can do. Sam Byram is a sporadic squad option. They're more to in the background, because you need them players, I've already explained. Even if he's not there, we need to bring someone in who can do that. Is there a standout? Not really. You've got very attacking fullbacks, and that's all right because that's how we play. But what about the option of someone who is just a little more stable, a little more stronger, a little more aggressive off the ball? That's what we need. And again, looking at similar to centre-back, it's not bad. But for me, this is clearly short. We need a physical. Because when I say physical, I mean we need a runner who can very easily get forward and back. I think these two are great at going forward, but that transition back isn't great in my opinion because they're very, very attack-minded. Also, are they the perfect ideal players when you're sitting deeper? I don't think they're bad because Firpo gets exposed when we're in transition, where he has to drive out of his space and he kind of hesitates, and that's where they pass it around him. Bogle's actually quite good, I think, in them tight spaces. He can be a little rash, though. So for me, maybe it is just, again, a guy who, whether that's an experienced player, someone who has that calmness, has that physical edge to them. We need to be a physical side. You know, look at Aina at Nottingham Forest. He's a perfect thing of that. Decent defender, but actually decent attacker, but not someone who gets insane stats because he just brings that physical presence. He's constantly there. He's constantly working hard. He's constantly a threat, up and down, high, deep. He's always there. I think we need that type of player, in my opinion. A slightly different option to what we've got. And again, we keep Schmidt, decent option. But for me, we need that out-and-out kind of athlete-style fullback. I don't think we have it. That's fullback. Midfield. Again, another... What do we need in midfield? Now, for me, there's one clear profile we are missing in midfield. And assume this, Gilavoge will leave. But you've got to replace what he loses from you. And I haven't put Rothwell in here because I'm just, again, assuming he'll leave. And to be honest, it didn't look good on the graphic with 5. I couldn't fit it in because Gilavoge's name's really long. I've assumed Rothwell's left, and then we'll speak about that. So Rothwell's left, assuming he is. If he doesn't, I'm absolutely fine by that. Honestly, I am. But there's still a profile missing. Rothwell leaves, Gilavoge leaves, right? So then you're left with Ampadu, Gruev, and Tanaka. Gruev and Tanaka have 0 Premier League experience. Slightly different to what we've got previously. Ampadu does, but that was years ago at centre-back. I think he was 19. So that's next to no Premier League experience. You've lost Rothwell, who's your ball carrier in midfield. You've lost Gulavoge, who's your experience, who's played at the top level for years, played for France, played in the Champions League. How do you replace that? So for me, it has to be an 8. What we're losing with Rothwell, we need to retain and bring back. There's a guy called Andy Diouf, who plays for Lens in France, who for me is a perfect 8 profile. He's a tall, physical player who can drive forward with the ball. With power, with pace and precision. Very good in transition. Very good player, very good outlet when you're wanting to drive. When you need that guy to put the foot on the ball and drive into spaces. We don't have that in this midfield. I think we can all... Very good players. But Tanaka, ball retainer, moving that ball to keep it ticking, keep the tempo going. Ampadu, bit of a crusher, bit of a hard-working 6. Gruev again on the ball, but again, can he step up? Gulavoge, gone. So for me, you need, and it's huge, that you replace what you've left, but improve it. So losing Rothwell, bringing a similar profile, the name I mentioned before at Lens, like that, but someone, in my opinion, who's a little younger, who has that ceiling, who has that excitement as well. Because I feel we've got good ages in this team, but we're lacking a bit of fearless youth. Someone that's around, like I mentioned, 19, 20, 21, 22 kind of age, who can come in, who's done it in Europe at a good level, who has the physical attributes for the league, can attack and drive forward, but also be very effective at winning second balls, winning first balls, being there, being a busy player in midfield, ideally a box-to-box guy. That's what we need. That replaces Rothwell, and it also, in my opinion, if you do bring a player, Andy Diouf, you slightly improve that level as well, and the ceiling of that player is higher. Because we don't have that, do we? We can all agree in this midfield. A lot of good defensive side of it, a lot of good ball retention side of it, but we don't have a forward-thinking, progressive player in there that can drive with the ball and also pass forward consistently. And then you're losing Gilavoge, and people, I didn't do it. He's a vastly experienced player, and people always underestimate, and they always will underestimate experience in a team. it is vital. Look at the impact he had on all the players as soon as he came in. They're all speaking about him. He's very well loved, and you've got to replace that. Who is that going to be? That's the question. This could be someone just like Guilavogui, who I've already said names in the past, and if you've been watching, you know they are. James. But who is that? Someone for me that's played in the Premier League. Someone that's won in the Premier League. Maybe even someone that's played in the Champions League. Maybe even played for their country. Won everywhere they've gone. Don't have to play. They still can play a little bit, but they might not have to play if you've got 4 or 5 players ahead of them, or players ahead of them. They are there to set the standard, bring that elite mentality to the team, leadership. Someone that everyone around them can look up to, knowing that this player has won this league. He's played in this league for 10 years. He's played in the Champions League. Maybe he's won the Champions League, Played for his country. No one can speak to him. He sets the standard of the club. That's what we need to replace Guilavogui with, in my opinion. So we need the number 8, that progressive number 8, the big, powerful, strong, progressive number 8. We also need someone who is vastly experienced. And then I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Tanaka, Ampadu, that really nice, progressive number 8, that powerful, strong player, vastly experienced player. You got Gruev there as well. That's a good, in my opinion, mix of a midfield. You've got physicality in Ampadu and the new guy you bring in. You've got progression in the new guy. You've got ball retention. You've got aggressive players. You've got calm players. I like it. It's a good mix. And you've also got the experience with the new guy. So that's what I do in midfield, personally. So 2, ideally. If you lose Guilavogui, you need 2. We definitely need that 8 profile. And then 10, and this just shows how I have one option. I could have scraped Pirro in here, but no, come on. I've got Chambers in brackets as well, very young lad. But hey, sometimes young players, they just do it. They just go away in summer and come back, and they're absolutely unbelievable. Sam Chambers has all the physical attributes for me to work at a very high level in football. I think he does. But he's very young, so I'm not going to put any pressure on him whatsoever. But he's there. Just be reminded of that. He's there. But it's Aronson, that's our player. And I've gone into a bit of detail with this because I had space on the screen. But he's our only real option there. Especially in the Prem. We can't be having experiments now. What do we do? Again, I've got him in orange. There's a certain thing he can bring to this team, 100%. There are certain games where we will need his impact, 100%. But is he the only or the option in the Prem? Of course he shouldn't be. Because again, I'm talking about physicality. What we need in that role for me, and this is where there's 2 profiles in it. There's profile 1, which is a system player. This is more of that physical player that Farke usually has us in that role. I said it before, Stuyperman, Vrancic, Neuhaus at Borussia Mönchengladbach, Rutter last year, and Aronson is that different. He was a hard-working side of that, but we didn't have that profile, right? We never did, so he had to go there. But the usual profile for the Farke system in the 10 role is usually, it's not always the same, tall and strong, can drop deep, can also go forward and attack the box on the back line as well. Do that role really well between aerial threat, if that's spelled right, I have no idea. Scoring threat, hard worker. These are the key things. I'm thinking just off the top of my head, someone like Gus Till at PSV is that player that if we're going for that profile, you're going, that's the man. And then profile 2 is the more traditional. And this is where our kind of back comes in. We talked about physical players a lot. If you go for a physical player, fine. But also, this is where maybe you bring in that spark, that little technical ball carrier, that creator. Guys who win you the game, effective in tight spaces, that real technical quality. I'm thinking just again, off the top of my head, someone like Enciso, someone like that. Because we lack that. I think that's fair to say. We lack physicality a lot, but we also lack that profile too. We do lack that, especially centrally. So there's two options for me. It's one of them two, but we have to address it. If we are playing with the 10, maybe we'll change formation and go midfield 3. And that's where you're looking at the 8, which I spoke about before, who can kind of do that role, but from a little deeper. But for me, have to improve this area. There's got to be a clear profile in mind. And these are the two profiles I think we're massively missing in that role. And the wide forwards, the wingers, whatever you want to call them, inside forwards, whatever, who cares? It's different wherever you're from. Who gives a crap? But yeah, and I've assumed we've kept Solomon. Again, like Rothwell, I don't know. But if we'll do both cases. So for me, really hard because you've got experience in James and Nonto, but again, that's mixed experience. You've got a good range of age. Solomon, again, mixed experience. Good times, bad times. Ramazani, no experience in the Prem. What you've got there is a lot of talent. You've got a lot of guys who work well in space. You've got ball retainers in Solomon who are very good at working in tighter spaces and retaining the ball, making clean decisions on the ball. And then you've got people who attack space like Dan James, Ramazani. So you've got a good mix. I haven't got them all in dark green because they're all quite unproven at the top level. Let's be fair. Nonto was good when he came in, but he did die off. Ramazani's not played there. Solomon, again, was inconsistent. James, inconsistent. What we need from these guys is to stand up. Every one of them needs to up their level now because we need that from them. Because if we keep Solomon, I think it's fair to say we're not bringing in a winger, right? So this is why in this position you're probably not bringing anyone in, but you're requiring them all. You're requiring, them all to stand up and step up to the level now. Because these 4 can all be really, really effective for us, or them not quite hitting that level can make us not so great because they're an important. Every one of them is an important player in this team. The wingers are very important in our team. If it was down to me, look, I have no idea, but there is very good wingers out there. Is my point. I'm not going to name any names because I'm going to do videos on that potentially, but there's a lot of good wingers out there. Igor Paixão is one that I absolutely love. But you're probably going to pay 25-30 million for a player like that. But he's one who comes in straight away and I guarantee tears up the Premier League. But we need these guys to step up because if Solomon stays, if he doesn't, the name I've just mentioned, I'm looking at someone like that. Someone who he comes in and that's a statement player for me. But I want one of these or 2 or 3 of these guys to step up and become that guy. But yeah. And striker, and for me, this is one we have to deal with quick. I've not done goalkeeper in this, by the way, because profile, just bring a good one. I don't really know. What profile of goalkeepers do you have? You know what I mean? Just bring a good one in. I don't really care. You know what I mean? But striker. What? Right, let's take Harry Gray out. Again, 16 years old. I don't want to speak about him. Whether he's players or not, young player. I'm not expecting him. All right, he's very young. I'm not going to put any pressure on him. Bamford. Again, I think it's fair to say he's out of contract next year. Will he stay? Who knows? Is he at the Premier League level? Probably not now in his career. Mateo Joseph, unsure. Pirro, unsure. We know these have... Bamford has the experience. Pirro has the goal scoring side of it. Joseph has the youth. But is there someone here who you can guarantee plays in that 9 for Leeds United and is exactly what we need in the team? Not for me. Not for me. If you could combine these 3 players, that's an unbelievable player. But for me, we need someone who again, I'm looking at the physical side of it. We're linked with Beto, and whether it's him or not, I think for me the profile has to be a player who can play the physical game in the in the Premier League. I think that's key in every aspect. We need an outlet. We need someone who can hold the ball up, link play up, but hold it up physically, dominate defenders, be a pain in the backside, but also someone who can do that by running in behind. Just be really, really gritty, really horrible, because it's going to be hard for this player. They need to be physically demanding, physically strong, aggressive. I'd also like them to have a bit of flair, a bit of skill, and being able to finish. It's hard. A hard profile to get. I don't think we need to look for someone who is guaranteed 15, 20 goals a season. I don't. Because we need someone who can impact the game more. Because you can have a goal scorer in Peru, but how often is Joe Peru going to impact the game other than that in the Premier League? It's hard to say. We need someone who can impact the game from deep. He's always a threat, always an option, loves a battle, makes defenders and teams not want to play against him. That's what we need. You know, someone, again, like Liam Delap, who is that mix of every good attribute you want in a striker, hence why he's probably going to go to a top 6 team. But can we find similar player to that? You know, we need someone that's quick, aggressive, a good physical athlete. I think it's really important. So that's a big profile for me. Because there's no guarantees with these guys in anything. And again, if Gray's not part of the squad, if Bamford leaves or Joseph leaves on loan, you're left with nothing. Joe Pro can get the goals, but we need a player who can play the game in the Premier League. So we haven't got that. But yeah, that's it, people. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you all for the support over this year. As usual, we're back in it now. We're back looking at the season coming on, the Premier League season. I've got a hell of a lot of videos coming up. Just like normal, just like every time I do these every year, they'll be the same type of on the channel, but I will be doing extras, little extras that'll be on the members. So if you want to do that, please do. Absolute legends. See you guys in a bit. Bye-bye.